The morning began like any other, gray and rushed, the city breathing out exhaust and indifference as people hurried past one another without looking down. He was a man used to being in control, a successful CEO, a single father who believed he had already endured the hardest losses life could offer. Yet on that cold sidewalk, behind a row of overflowing trash bins, one moment shattered everything he thought he understood about strength, responsibility, and love. Curled up on torn cardboard was a small girl, her face smudged with dirt, arms wrapped tightly around a skinny dog whose ribs showed through its fur. They slept as if the garbage around them were walls of a broken home, and in that instant, something inside him broke open. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. He had not planned to walk that street. His driver was late, his phone buzzed endlessly with boardroom problems, and his mind was already buried in deadlines. Ever since his wife passed away years earlier, work had become his shield. Being a single dad to his young son was his pride, but also his constant fear. He wanted to give his child everything, so he worked harder, slept less, and learned to ignore the quiet ache that never really left. He told himself that providing was the same as being present, that success could fill the spaces grief had carved. That lie worked, until he saw the girl and the dog breathing softly beside the trash. He slowed his steps, something he rarely did. The smell was harsh, the sight uncomfortable, yet he could not look away. The girl's shoes were too small, the soles nearly gone. Her hair was tangled, but her arm was protective, shielding the dog as if the world itself were a threat. The dog did not bark or run. It only shifted closer to her, trusting her completely. The CEO felt an unfamiliar tightness in his chest. He had seen poverty before, donated to causes, signed checks at charity galas. But this was not an abstract problem. This was a child alone, exposed, invisible to 1,000 passing eyes. Memories flooded him without warning. His own son sleeping safely at home, tucked under warm blankets. His wife's smile, the way she used to say that kindness was not measured by wealth, but by attention. He had forgotten that lesson somewhere between profits and meetings. Standing there, he felt ashamed of how easily he had learned to look past suffering when it did not disrupt his schedule. As the girl stirred awake, fear flickered across her face, the kind learned too early. She pulled the dog closer, bracing for rejection, for cruelty, for another adult who would pass by pretending not to see. The CEO realized then that the greatest challenge before him was not corporate survival or single parenthood, but the choice between remaining comfortable or stepping into discomfort. He crouched down, careful, slow, aware of how powerful and threatening he must look to a child who had learned to expect nothing good. The truth unraveled gradually. The girl had lost her parents to circumstances too heavy for a child to understand. Foster homes came and went, some kind, others not. Eventually, she ran, clutching the only soul that had never abandoned her, a stray dog she had rescued, and who, in turn, rescued her. Together, they survived on leftovers, kindness from strangers, and the hope that tomorrow might be softer than today. The CEO listened, not with the ears of a businessman, but with the heart of a father. Each detail stripped away another layer of his carefully built armor. He took them to safety that day, but the real journey began afterward. Bringing the girl into his world forced him to confront truths he had long avoided. His son, confused at first, watched his father soften in ways he had never seen. The house, once quiet and efficient, filled with cautious footsteps, the sound of the dog's nails on the floor, and a fragile sense of possibility. The CEO struggled. He questioned whether love could heal wounds so deep, whether he was capable of being more than a provider. There were nights when the girl cried in her sleep, nights when the dog whimpered at sudden noises, reminders that trauma does not vanish with clean clothes and warm meals. At work, he changed too. Boardroom decisions felt smaller compared to the weight of responsibility he now carried at home. He began to see the city differently, noticing how many were pushed aside, how many children slept unseen. His company policies shifted, not because of publicity, but because empathy had finally reached him. Employees noticed. The man once known only for discipline and results now asked about families, about struggles, about purpose. He learned that leadership without compassion was hollow. The girl slowly transformed. Safety allowed her to dream again. Trust returned in careful steps. The dog grew healthier, its eyes brighter, always staying close to her side. The CEO's son learned lessons no classroom could teach. Lessons about sharing, patience, and the quiet heroism of survival. The house became something more than a place to sleep. It became a refuge built not on wealth, but on understanding. Yet the greatest change was internal. The CEO realized that success had never protected him from loss, nor had it prepared him for healing. What healed him was presence. Sitting on the floor, helping with homework, walking the dog at dawn, listening without fixing. He learned that being a father was not about control, but about surrendering to love, even when it terrified him. As the months passed, the memory of that morning never faded. The image of a child sleeping on garbage remained a quiet compass, guiding his choices. He supported shelters, advocated for foster reform, and spoke not as a savior, but as someone who had once looked away and learned the cost of indifference. He understood now that life's most important lessons arrive unannounced, disguised as inconvenience. If this story is touching your heart so far, please pause for a moment and comment below with a single word that describes how it makes you feel. Your words matter, and they help build a community of compassion. Near the end of that year, on a morning much like the first, the CEO walked the same street. The trash bins were still there, the city still rushed, but he was not the same man. He carried with him the knowledge that one choice can ripple through countless lives. Back home, a little girl laughed freely. A dog slept peacefully at her feet. And a family existed because someone finally stopped to look down. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that kindness can change destinies, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Let us spread stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Because sometimes, the truth that breaks our hearts is the very thing that teaches us how to live again.